Awesome. Hi.
Hi,
Hi.
how are you?
I'm doing well. I'm
Good.
excited to do this with you today.
I'm super excited as well.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. 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 So one of the first questions I had was I know that you mentioned that you were going to use your copy um for your Guru Within Academy.
Yes,
Can I ask about that or
absolutely.
okay, okay. So and I know that you're going to have a portion of that academy is going to be talking about intuition. Is that
Yes,
true? Okay.
absolutely.
Because
Yes.
you mentioned that to me last year, sometime,
Yeah,
probably
at
in the
some point
fall,
I did mention
probably
that.
just a few months ago, but we're in January 2023. Um, and I was actually curious when I was thinking about us getting on this call today and talking about what you wanted to teach people or what your thoughts were around intuition. I'm just really curious because I'm just really curious about your perspective and
Mm,
and what your thoughts were on it. I did that interview with the Healthy Alternative on Thursday last week, and we started, we ended up talking about intuition, and I was surprised, and I never had a conversation just about intuition. It's always been my intuition this, my intuition that. You know what I'm saying?
oh, got it. Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes. So my thoughts around it are, or have been, that I got started. That's how I got started in all of the work that I did. Is I started taking it was actually an intuitive energy course. And
Uh-huh.
what ended up happening is, yeah, I did some energy work, but what happened was my intuition just went boom and opened up. And again, because I was very intuitive as a kid, and then I had some experiences, and then I asked for it all to be taken away, which it was taken away. And then right around 26, I'm like, started this class, and it all started opening up again for me, right?
Uh-huh.
So I
Uh-huh.
started down that avenue with myself. And what
Mm-hmm.
the reason that I want to teach it is because I've grown so much by being able to intuitively connect, right?
Mm-hmm.
Connect through my intuition and get that daily inspiration for myself. I think that's so valuable. Like, yes, I
Mm-hmm.
use it in the coaching and all the work that I do. Of course, I use my intuition. But really, why I want to teach it is because I want people to know how to connect for themselves,
Yes.
right? Like I used to
Mm-hmm.
find myself saying, why weren't we given some kind of an instruction manual when we came to Earth? There should
Mm-hmm.
be an instruction manual. And the thing
Mm-hmm.
is we do have one. We just don't all know how to access it. And
Mm-hmm.
that's the way that I view intuition.
So how would you teach someone, or what would be like the first steps for someone that you'd want to teach them how to access it?
Yeah. Let's see, what would be the first step? Learning how to get quiet within themselves,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like take on maybe a meditation practice or some sort of a practice where you start getting quiet.
Mm-hmm.
And then I would say the next piece is to start watching, tuning into your body and what's going on in your body.
Mm-hmm.
So I had this experience when I joined the Hendricks Institute in like 2006. And that was like I came in with my intuitive gifts already open, and I was aware of them, and I was doing readings already. And I watched people come in that were didn't know that they were already intuitive, right? I
Mm-hmm.
think we all are intuitive,
Mm-hmm.
but they didn't know they were intuitive. And by the time they left, they were all highly intuitive. And I started asking why. Why? Why are all these people so intuitive? And what I discovered was is that the whole training was about looking within, looking within. What are your emotions doing? What is the sensations in your body doing? What's your energy doing? What's the energy doing in the room? Right? So it's a constant looking, looking and looking and listening and listening and looking and looking and listening and listening to whatever's there. And as
Mm-hmm.
people came out, they weren't trying to be intuitive, but they were.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's interesting. I didn't know that part of your story or
Yeah.
your part that part of your experience. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So I would teach them how to look in first.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. That's so cool.
Yeah, and also show them, talk with them about like, we all are. We
Mhm.
already all are intuitive. We already
Mhm.
have that access. It's just knowing how you personally go and access that instruction
Mhm.
manual.
Mhm. Do you think well, kind of a silly question, I guess. I was gonna say everybody does it different, right? So I was gonna ask, do you think everybody does it different? And of course the answer is yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now you're highly intuitive.
Yes, I
So
would say
how do you feel like you do all this?
I think that over the years, well, I think mine started with kind of a fascination or an interest in talking with and connecting with psychics and going to see people that were clairvoyant or clairaudient or whatnot during a time where I was struggling a lot and wanted answers. And so I think I've always been fascinated about that. And then over the years on my journey, as I started to do my own healing, my own inner work, and I believe I just started noticing it more. I started noticing it more, and then I started meditating on a regular basis. And then, so just a series of things that I've done along the way have helped me become more and more aware of my
Mm.
intuition and my connection. Most recently, I'm able to say that I connect with my guides, and I've always wanted that, that's something I always wanted because I know that I've gotten readings and the people that I've gotten readings from connect with my guides and their guides and give me
Mhm.
messages. But
Right.
I always wanted to be able to do that for myself.
Nice. What was, if you don't mind me asking, what was the shift for you when it went from intuition and guidance to, oh, there are my guides?
I think that I spent a significant amount of time finding out messages from my guides from other people
Mhm.
and them reassuring me that we are connected and that they're connecting with me and giving me little hints and signs of that connection. And
Mm,
then me noticing it on my own when I was just doing my regular thing and taking a moment and stopping and pausing and acknowledging that my guides are speaking to me. And so it started off kind of subtle like that. And then recently, over the past few months, and letting go or having any expectations on how they're communicating with me has been
yes.
a
Yeah,
key,
that's big,
right?
huh?
Because, I always know that, spirit speaks through other people. That's a kind of a common thought. So when that happened, it never really was like, wow, my spirit guides are speaking to me. You know what I mean? It was just like, yeah, okay, I resonate with that. But you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. But isn't that the way that it can start? The
Mm-hmm.
best, I think,
Mm-hmm.
is like whenever I've done readings for people, most of the time they say, well, I kind of already knew that. That was just affirming. And I'm like,
Yes.
yeah, that's because you're already intuitive too, right? You're
Yeah.
already connected. You just may not know that you're connected, or you may not know how to access it real well.
Yes.
So
Yes.
that can
Yes.
validate the fact that you're already intuitive. You're already
Yes.
receiving those messages. I
Yes.
love it. I love it.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. 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 And most recently, they let me know. It feels so
Your guides.
different to be talking about it like this. I've never really shared publicly
Yeah.
this, but I'm okay with it. I'm just kind of going, okay, yeah, I'm gonna say this right now. And millions of people around the world are gonna maybe see this one day.
And hopefully be inspired and,
Yeah,
yeah, not think that they're crazy when it happens to them.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for that reminder. Most recently, they have communicated with me in my dreams.
Mm.
And I noticed that my what I call them my dreams, but it's really, I'm not dreaming anymore. Like I have dreams. I know that I can see the distinction between dream. It's all a little out there because it's just like on another realm. And that's been my experience. But they let me know that they communicate to me when I'm in my dream state or that state right before you go to sleep. I can't, I don't
Mhm.
remember all the REMs and all that
Yeah,
whatnot,
me neither.
because that's when I'm most relaxed and when my brain will calm down and shut down the most. And
Mhm.
now they just kind of swoop in. Like I can go and lay down and pretend like I'm going to sleep. It's what this is now how I connect with them. I just kind of pretend like I'm going to sleep and relax enough. And then I get this sensation all over my body, like a tingling sensation. And that's when I know that I'm about to get into that zone where they're
Oh,
going to
wow.
communicate with me or
Mhm.
when I'm going to connect with them. And then it happens.
Mm.
So there's that piece. And then the morning time, they it comes through as downloads, information downloads. And
Mhm.
I would imagine a lot of that's intuition with also messages from spirit. I think there's both happening there,
Yeah, I would agree. I would
right?
agree. I found this for myself as well. Mostly for me, it's first thing when I wake up. When I'm in that place of slightly awake but not all the way awake, I've learned how to not just jump out of bed or grab my phone or anything like that, and how to stay in that place, because that's like such a right place of information, and I get a lot of my information from that point.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. And then when you get information from that point, what do you do with it? Do you automatically trust it or act on it? Like, what's your process?
I I check in with everything. I check in
Mhm.
with every bit of information that comes into me, uh, with sort of like an internal guiding post, and I experience that internal guiding post almost as like a pole in the very center of my body. I know this might sound weird to some people, but it's like, and I put that information with that pole, and if it lines up straight, if
Mhm.
the feeling of it is like a then it's like, yes, this is accurate. And if it doesn't, sometimes the way that I'll experience it is like, well, some of it's on, but some of it kind of just feels like it veers to one side, or it's just muddled, or it's not very clear, or you know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So that's the first thing is I always check it with that internal guidance system
Uh-huh.
that I have.
Can you explain exactly how you check it? Like, what is your process?
Mm, boy, I don't know if I can explain it or not, but I'll do the best that I can, because
Okay.
basically I'm speaking in energy terms, right? So, of course,
Mhm.
I'm laying there. I just received a big piece of information, right? And I might feel, I might feel the tingly whatever that comes oftentimes with powerful information. You'll get like a tingly sensation through your body. But then I
Mhm.
lay there and I just, how do you say it? I tune in. I just connect
Mhm.
with the information. It's like I bring that information into me and I line it up and I say, okay, is this accurate? And I
Mhm.
feel if it's accurate, or I'll be able to feel if like 99% of it feels accurate and then one piece is off,
Uh-huh.
you
Uh-huh.
know? And then I'll be
Mhm.
like, oh, well, what's that one piece that's off? Because I don't want to be believing that. And oftentimes it's my perspective about the information that was given.
Interesting. Interesting. Your perspective. So you would say how you're seeing the information. What do you do then if your
Then I
perspective
usually
is off?
chuck that.
Mhm.
I usually chuck the piece that's inaccurate, right? And
Mhm.
I'll take the information. I'll be like, okay, so what wants to happen with this now? Or maybe I already got what wanted to happen with it. So then I will implement it into my life. Or it
Mhm.
really depends on the information that I just received.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah, oftentimes I'll take it into the tub with me or the shower with me. For
Mhm.
some reason, the tub and the shower, the water, I think, enhances like the integration of the information. That makes a
Yes.
big difference.
Yes. I was
Yeah.
just gonna ask you that if about the shower or the tub time. What
Yeah.
about when you say I'm going to meditate on something? I heard you say that recently. I've meditated on this and Can you explain to me what you do when you do that?
Yeah. So what I'll do is I'll take the idea or the bit of information or a question with me, and I get really quiet inside myself. And this
Mhm.
doesn't mean I try to make all my thoughts go away, because that's pretty hard, but I'll just go and I start breathing. And then I ask that question, or I'll have that bit of information in the forefront of my mind
Mhm.
while I'm just being quiet inside. And I usually always ask questions, to be quite honest. I'll say something like, okay, tell me more about this, or how can I integrate this more fully into my life, or what's the next step for me? Right. And so I
Mhm.
bring a question into that quiet place within myself, and then I just let it be, let the question percolate inside of me while I'm being still and breathing and relaxing and all of that. And inevitably, information starts flowing.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Nice. And when that information starts flowing, what do you do anything with it or do you just be with it?
Depends on the information,
Mhm.
right? Depends on the information. If I got information that's about action, then yes, I implement the action. But if
Mhm.
it's just information that's going to serve me or bless me to sit with, then I just let it be. I let it be exactly what it is.
Have you ever been in had an experience where you got information that was about action and you didn't take action? And
I
if so,
know I
what happened?
have. I know
Mhm.
I have. Whether I can call forth an instant right now of when that
Mhm.
happened, I don't know. But
Mhm.
I know I have done that. Okay, I've got one.
Okay.
I got a big one, actually. Curious why you ask, though. Do you want me to share that experience, or what's your reasoning, or what do you want to know about this?
I'm just curious of what happens when we get a big piece of information, intuitive information that requires action, and we don't follow through
We
with the
don't act
action
on it.
and we don't
Yes.
act on it. Mhm.
Yeah. My experience, and I'll share my experience if you want me to. But my experience is that my guides are still very gentle with me, and they're
Mhm.
continue to try to guide me into and towards that action, right?
Okay.
But I'm always at free choice.
Mhm.
I've experienced this so much. I'm always at free choice to do what I want to do. It's that the guiding is like, okay, if you'll do it this way, it'll be easier for you. And then if I don't act on that, it's like, well, now it's going to be a little harder for you, but here's still an easier way than if you
Mhm.
wait another hour. Right?
Got it. Got it. Got it. That's cool. That's cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. I love this topic.
What do you love the most about intuition, Letta? What have you experienced?
I love how empowering it is,
Mhm.
right? I love that. For me, it's something about I can trust myself more.
Mm,
Does that make sense?
yeah, it does.
And I like it just feels like a tool, like a power tool,
Yeah,
you
it's
know, like,
huge.
yeah. And I like that, I like it. I appreciate that I have it for myself and that I can use it in my everyday life and I can use it in business. It helps in business and in relationships. And I just like tools that support my overall well-being and happiness and ease and flow.
Mhm.
And
Boy, there's nothing like intuition to do that.
right?
Yeah. Do
Yeah.
you mind if I ask you what your method of connecting is intuitively?
Well, it varies. Like I mentioned, well, I feel so hmm, I get still. So if I have like a specific question, I will get still. If I want something quick, because I have my brain moves a lot. And I recently learned through my human design that it's part of my human design. And so I don't make it myself wrong for it anymore.
Yay, yeah.
I used to think, oh, you just brain doesn't stop you, but no, I don't do that anymore. I have a very smart, intelligent brain, and it
Yes.
likes to work, you know, and it wants,
Yes.
you
Yes,
know.
yes, yes, yes. So
So I've
many
been
people think that meditation, you have to shut that brain down, and you don't.
no, no. So I actually love, if I want messages about something, I actually love working with my cards. So
Mm.
I use tarot cards, oracle cards, you know what I'm talking about, those
Yeah.
spirit,
Mhm.
they're like, I have a collection and I love
I
them.
like your collection too.
Yeah, I love them. And I think they're beautiful. I think the messages are beautiful. My spirit, my intuition, or my guides are, it's just gotten so boom, 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 boom. And so it's
Mhm.
quick, it's a really quick
Mhm.
way for me to get an answer, or for me
Yeah,
to,
I can
or for
see that.
me, yeah, or for me to, a lot of times I like want to test, tune into like where I am, like if I feel a little off, or I try to, let me think of how I would call this, because I've been thinking about that a lot lately. Get a pulse on where I'm at energetically, right?
Right.
And I can do a reading and find out, because the cards are accurate, or my guides, or I'm accurate, right? So I can say my guides, but really my intuition, like it's all connected for me, right?
Right. Right.
Yeah, I'm pulling the card, I connect with spirit, but I'm pulling the card, and I pull the card all the time. And it's, you know what I mean? It's like magic, kind of.
Yes, I love it.
Yeah.
Love
And,
it. Love it.
and the morning times for me too, I get downloads, and I've just started refraining from looking at my phone first thing. I just implemented a new practice where I won't touch my phone until 8 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, nice.
It's a little
Nice.
hard sometimes, but I do that. So, mhm.
So that you can have that time dedicated to intuition.
Yeah, intuition and writing. I write, like
Mm,
I get information. I get a lot of information through my writing in the morning. I
yeah.
can work out an issue or a problem or something that's up for me. It's almost instant. Now, I didn't always used to be this way, but the more I practice it and the more I acknowledge that it's true and it's happening, and I can, then the easier it is.
Yeah, that's awesome. I
Mhm.
love that you brought up some different ways that intuition comes through. Like, I wonder, like, I've dealt with a lot of people who have this idea of what intuition is, and they
Mhm.
are just not it. Right?
Mhm.
It comes through in this specific way that they're thinking it comes through. And what I've discovered as I've worked with people over the years is that we all have our own unique individual way of receiving that information. And why wouldn't we? We are all so unique, right?
Mhm.
So, for example, I was teaching this class one time, and the one gal in the class just wasn't getting it and wasn't getting it, right? And she just had this picture that intuition was supposed to look a certain way. And then down the road a ways in one of our classes, she was like, "Oh my goodness, I just got it. My intuition is giving me images of video of movie clips. I'll ask a
Mm.
question and then this movie clip pops into my brain. And I try to push it away because intuition can't be movie clips.
Oh, wow.
Isn't that fascinating?" And she
Yes.
finally got it, that this was the way that she was receiving information, was through movie clips.
And what a cool way to receive information.
How fun!
Yeah. Oh, that's
Isn't
awesome.
that amazing? So everybody thinks
Mhm.
it's got to be, you got to be clairaudient, or you got to be clairvoyant, or you got to, you know what I'm saying? Or it's going to be visuals, or you're going to see it with your physical eyes, right?
Right.
And everybody does it different.
Yes.
And it's
Yes.
about learning how to listen to that information when it's coming through.
Mhm. Mhm.
And the more you listen, like you were saying with your cards, the more you listen and you look at the cards and you go, "Oh, this is what it's telling me." Yeah, the information's coming from you. And the more you do that, the easier it gets. And the more you start trusting yourself, the more you start seeing patterns, the more
Yes.
you're being led, the more you allow yourself to be led, the more you will be led. Right? And
Yes.
then you strengthen that muscle, and it gets easier and easier and easier and easier.
Yes. Yes. That's it right there. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel super grateful that we have access, and I feel
Yes.
bad for people that don't know how to access.
Right.
So that's one of
Right.
the reasons why I'm like, I want to share with the world, like, you're intuitive, right? You
Yeah.
have access, you have access. You are not alone here. You have
Mm-hmm.
so much access to how to live your life in the way that's going to flow the greatest for you
Mm-hmm.
and guide you in the best way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I don't know if you've seen this, and I don't even remember where I saw it. Oh, you know what? I think it's a Dr. Joe Dispenza clip,
Uh-huh.
but I'm not positive. I could be wrong on that, so don't quote me on that. But what I saw this experiment that they did, and they had one person sitting in one room and the other person sitting in the other room. And
Mm-hmm.
then they showed images to one of the people in the room. And the person in the other room had connections, like they were testing their heart and their brain. And the heart,
Heart coherence.
yes,
Heart.
and the heart reacted with the person in the room not even looking at the images, based on the images the other person in the other room was seeing.
Wow. Say that again.
I'll
I want
try.
yeah, yeah.
So I'll backtrack and tell you the whole experiment. Okay. So the whole
Okay.
experiment was, they had a person sitting in the room and they had electrodes on, I think they're electrodes on their head, on their heart. They were testing to see what happened. Before they even showed the image, the heart responded to what the next image was going to be. Like,
Oh,
if it was a
wow.
sad image, the heart responded with some feelings of sadness. If it was a fear image, it responded with fear before the
Uh-huh.
person even saw it, before it
Saw
could
it.
even go into the brain to get the
Wow.
information, right?
Wow. Mm-hmm.
So then they took I think it was the partner of the person that was in the room, and they put the partner in another room, still showed the
Mm-hmm.
images to the same person, but now the person here was feeling it, and the person in the other room that wasn't even looking at the pictures was having a heart response
Wow.
to what was going on.
Wow.
This
That
shows
is
us how connected we are to things that we don't see with our eyes,
mm-hmm. That's fascinating.
isn't it?
Yes.
There's so much science that's being done right now, I think, on all of the unseen
Mm-hmm.
world.
Mm-hmm. 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 Yeah, that made me think of this is about energy, but I read somewhere and I don't remember where I read it, but it was I think it's in a book that I have, that your vibrational energy, like say you're in your house and you're feeling good and you're feeling joy, that it expands out. It has a reach of like, and I don't quote me on the distance, but I had a feeling because I could, when I was reading it, I imagined it to like several blocks to my house. So just imagine that you're in your house and you're feeling good and you're emitting positive energy. That positive energy is positively impacting the area around you so far out. So you don't even have to like do much except feel good yourself and positively impact your environment.
Hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yes, it makes sense a lot because
Yeah.
everything's frequency.
Exactly.
Everything's frequency.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that really helped when I was at a point where I wasn't thinking I was doing enough to be of service.
Hmm.
I had that thought. I was like, if because I think it was when I was actually wrestling with the fact, not wrestling or digesting or integrating the fact that me feeling good and me being happy is enough, right?
Hmm.
That and taking care of myself is enough. And that actually has an impact, like a positive impact on the planet. And if I did nothing else, that would be okay. Like that was a shock for me, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it just made me think of that when you were talking about the
Hmm.
feeling with the images, you know, when they saw the
Yep.
happy images and the sad images. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm. Was that a random?
That was
It
perfect,
feels like
Letta.
I totally went off on a tangent, but it wasn't,
No, that
right?
was perfect.
Energy? Okay.
That was perfect.
Okay,
Not a
okay.
problem with me. Yeah, so what's the next thing that wants to be talked about around intuition?
Hmm.
I would say, like, for our viewers, they're gonna wanna
Mhm.
know how they can connect with theirs, right?
Yes.
Like, how would somebody go about starting to connect with theirs?
Mhm. So tell us. Tell us, Marinna.
Well, I'll say start breathing first because most people aren't
Mhm.
breathing. Well,
Mhm.
everybody's breathing, but most
Mhm.
people are breathing very shallowly in their chest, right? And the
Mhm.
reason that we do this is oftentimes is to block emotion.
Mhm.
And when we're breathing shallowly to block emotion, that puts us in our fight or flight brain. And I guarantee there's no connection with intuition when you're in fight or flight.
Mhm.
It just doesn't work. Doesn't work. So I'd suggest everybody start breathing deep in your bellies in a very relaxed way and
Mhm.
start letting yourself just calm down and relax. One of the things I've found is that I don't get intuition very well if I'm stressed,
Mhm.
right? And our society is stressed an awful lot. So I'd say
Mhm.
the first thing is start practicing breathing, letting
Okay.
go of that stress, being present, right? And then start observing the body. And
Mhm.
the reason I would suggest this, and you'll know this one too, is the moment you put your attention onto a body sensation
Mhm.
is the moment you come into this present moment,
Mhm.
right? And for me personally, I don't get information if I'm not in this present moment.
Mhm.
It's actually one of the reasons why I like to play with intuition so much is because it helps me to stay in the present moment, which is
Mhm.
where everything delicious is in this present moment, right? And so in the
Mhm.
present moment when I'm like breathing and I'm fully here, that's when I start to receive information,
Mhm.
right? Like I
Mhm.
went and did a Vipassana meditation retreat. Those are the 10-day meditation retreats. And they invite you strongly to not have any kind of writing utensils or phones or nothing in there, right? And
Mhm.
the first time I went, I it was like crazy because about fourth day in, and I've been
Mhm.
meditating all day long for 4 days, my intuition is like my whole channel up here is like bing, and I'm start channeling information and I have no way to record it. That
Oh.
was frustrating, super
Oh.
frustrating. So the second time, I brought me a notepad and a pencil
Did
because
you
I'm like,
hide it?
screw this. Like, I don't know if everybody gets this way. You know what I'm saying?
Uh-huh.
But when I start to get quiet and present and in the moment, that's when the most information starts flowing through. And I
Mhm.
want to be available for that information, you know?
Mhm.
So, yeah,
Uh-huh.
yeah.
Wow. How
That
many
would be
days
the
did
way
you
I'd
say
start.
you did that? The meditation? How many
Mhm.
days did you do it for?
10.
10 days.
It's a 10-day meditation retreat. It's a
And you don't
silence.
speak. Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Tell me
you don't
more.
speak, you don't engage with anybody else. You're in your own little bubble and meditating a good portion of the day for 10 days straight. It's intense.
Mhm.
I won't lie to you, it's intense.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
it was like opened me up and connected me in a very, very big way. Right.
Uh-huh.
So that's how I'd say start with that for people. And then I would say, well, everybody's so different. So it's hard to say, but I usually like to invite people to start asking questions. Start asking questions. And like with you, you started asking questions and then pulling cards,
Mhm.
right? And then you would notice what you would notice on the cards.
Mhm.
What did that say to you? What, right? And then you're listening again. And you're listening. I
Mhm.
think intuition is all about it listening. Listening,
Mhm.
listening, listening, listening. The more you can listen, the better.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's kind of funny when I first started doing sessions with people, the way that I did it, because I was only used to listening to my own guides, right?
Mhm.
And now I got challenged to listen to somebody else's guides. And so literally I'm like, okay, one hand to the guides, one hand on the person I'm doing the reading for, and my eyes were closed so that I could feel it all, so I could hear it all, so I could listen to it all, because it is such a uh, opportunity to listen. Like, listen, 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 listen. And so much today, we've got so much going on with our phones, with TVs, with family, with work, with
Mhm.
all this stuff that we can't
Mhm.
hear. We can't hear. So I'd say the first thing is just to get quiet so you can listen and
Mhm.
start practicing listening. And then start watching what comes. Is it a visual that comes? Do you get words that pop into your brain? Do you get, you know what I mean? How do your messages come?
Mhm.
Do they come through video movie clips? Right?
Right, right,
Do they
right,
come
right.
through quotes from Facebook that you know what I'm saying? Like a quote will
Mhm.
pop into your head. Like, how does it come for you? And start
Mhm.
taking note of that.
Mhm. Mhm. You mentioned doing readings for other people and connecting with their guides. How how did you start doing that piece, or how did you know whose guides were who? And
Mm.
can you talk a little bit about that, or is that
I can, and this is, I'm going to say, not necessarily natural for everyone to do what I'm about to tell you. Okay, like not
okay?
everybody connects with their guides, but that doesn't mean you're not
Intuitive.
intuitive, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So for me, when I started taking this intuitive energy course, she was just guiding us to start listening to a person's body and be guided to where their what was going on in their energy, right? And then ask like what wants to happen here for this person's body, and then we do that. That's how she was guiding us. But what happened for me is it was like all of a sudden I started feeling people with me,
Uh-huh.
right? Like you know that feeling like when somebody's watching you and you turn
Mhm.
and you see somebody watching you, right?
Mhm.
Only I would feel somebody watching me or feel somebody behind me or feel somebody to the side of me and I'd turn and nobody would be there.
Got it.
And so then I'm like, "Oh, okay, you must be my guides." So then
Uh-huh.
I started with a notepad and pen first, right? And I sat down and I'm like, when I could feel them, I would sit down and I go, "Okay, who are you?" Right? And I would write the first thing that came to my brain. Whether
Uh-huh.
it was right or wrong, the first thing that came to my brain. And then I
Mhm.
would ask another question and write the first
Mhm.
thing that came. And what I would also do is notice how it came. Did this come audibly? Did they actually say these words? Or
Mhm.
did it come as information in my head? Like I just understood all the information. Or
Mhm.
did I get a visual, a picture in my brain?
Mhm.
Right? And I
Mhm.
started taking note of how the information came through.
Uh-huh.
And that's actually how I developed my ability to communicate with them,
Got it.
right? By just asking
Mhm.
questions and writing the
Mhm.
first thing and
Mhm.
letting go of whether I was right or not. Because that's a
Mhm.
big thing that hangs people up, right?
Mhm.
Is am I right or am I not? But
Yes.
similar to you with the cards, when you're doing it for yourself, does it matter?
Right.
And
Right.
then after you doing it like every day for 3 months and you keep getting the same messages,
Mhm.
you start to
Mhm.
trust yourself,
Mhm. Mhm.
start to trust the information.
Yes. 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 I think that asking the questions is such a huge part, you know? I
That has
think
been
that,
for me.
yeah, asking questions is huge. Did you want to say more about that? The questions? Because I
Fairly.
think, yeah, yeah, the questions are so important.
Yeah, questions are huge. They go in and literally call forth the information you're asking about and bring it to you.
Mhm.
It's like
Mhm.
I look at questions as magic wand. Like this is my magic
Mhm.
wand, right? Like,
Mhm.
okay, give me the answer to this, or how can I have
Mhm.
this, right? And so I use questions as a magic wand. And I
Mhm.
learned a lot of that through my intuitive work because that's how I did it. I
Mhm.
would ask questions and then the answer would
Mhm.
come. And then I'd ask another question and the answer would come.
Yes. Yes. I just realized when you said that that's a lot of how I've learning from my intuition or my guides or whatever's happening when I wake up in the morning and I come up and I've had what maybe was a dream or a scene play out. I will go, okay, that's interesting. What does that mean? That's my
Mm,
question. Or what does that mean? And I will ask the questions in my head, and then they will show me, or image or information will come down to match the answer to my question.
yes, 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 yes. I love it.
Mhm.
One of the
Mhm.
things that I would like people to understand is that sometimes it takes a minute for that information to come.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't always happen simultaneously, right? Sometimes it does. Sometimes it comes immediately, and sometimes it doesn't. And so when it doesn't, I don't know about you, but I will stay in that open question blank space,
Mm-hmm.
right? That expanded feeling of like, what is this? And I just stay in that, what is this,
Mm-hmm.
until something comes in.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then I'm watching what that something is. And because
Mm-hmm.
I've been doing this for so long, I can recognize pretty quickly whether, what came in, it feels in alignment or not.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But in the
Yes.
beginning, I would take that information when it came in and I would test it with alignment.
Uh-huh.
Actually, not in the beginning. This was more about, I don't know, 3 or 4 years into it. I had an
Uh-huh.
experience where I think I might have shared this with you, but I had an experience where my guides quit talking to me.
Yes.
Yeah. And it was super painful, super like, what? And I'd been talking to them for a handful of years and been getting all this guidance and support. And then all of a sudden they quit talking to me. And it
Uh-huh.
hurt. And it was a really, really tough time in my life when they quit talking to me. And when they came back on, I was pissed. And I'm like, what the heck, dudes? Why'd you go
Mm-hmm.
and leave me during this really hard time in my life? And they basically told me that you need to know how to trust yourself above what we tell you. Like you need
Mm-hmm.
to know, you needed to know how to align the information that was coming through with what was authentic for you instead of just trusting a voice that you hear, because who knows where the voices are coming from,
Right. That
right?
is,
It was
yes.
a
Yes.
powerful, powerful lesson.
Yes.
Powerful lesson.
Yes.
So I
Yes.
thanked him.
Mm-hmm.
Like, thank you. I'm humbled.
That's a great story. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What a great lesson. Yeah. Yeah. Is there anything else you wanted to say about intuition?
Let's look and see if there's anything that's wanting to be shared. So
Okay.
here's an aspect of intuition, right? Like what I'm just doing. Like the energy kind of got quiet in our conversation, and then it was like, oh, what wants to be shared? Automatically, this is an opportunity to connect with intuition. Like I literally use my intuition all day long, every single day, and I'm sure you do too,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
what is wanting to be shared in this moment?
Yes.
So I'm intuitively connecting right now to see what's wanting to be shared in this moment.
Mm-hmm.
So what feels like is starting to flow here is there's a lot of people who think this is hard,
Mm-hmm.
and it doesn't have to be. That's what I want to say. This does not have to be hard. What makes it hard is if you have a story in your head that you believe that says you're not intuitive.
Yes.
That's what makes it hard, right?
Yes.
Every single one of us are intuitive. Every single one
Mm-hmm.
of us were born with an instruction manual on how to live this life in the best way possible for this person.
Yes. Yes.
And it
Yes.
doesn't have to be hard unless you want it to be hard.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And there's so many people out there teaching intuition. And you'll happen upon it naturally if you'll start doing your own healing work, right? Heal
Yes.
some of the emotional traumas. It's really super hard to get intuition if the emotions are in upheaval
Yes.
or if they're stuffed,
Yeah, I
right?
was going to say, or disconnected. Yes.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
if you're disconnected from your emotions, if you're trying to stuff your emotions, if you're not in flow with your emotions,
Mm-hmm.
intuition is going to be a lot harder. And this is a big area of our society where we're taught from very early on how to stuff our emotions.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. And so people who naturally are starting to work with their emotions, or who people who are doing like reading self-awareness books, or they're tuning into their bodies, or they're doing yoga, or this type of work, start to naturally happen upon their own intuition,
Mm-hmm.
because it is so innate in every single one of us.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's actually easy. We just got to get out of our own ways.
Yes. Great point. Great point. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's going to be one of the first courses that I teach in the Guru Within Academy.
Mhm.
is emotion.
Uh-huh.
How do
Awesome.
you face into your emotion and stop running from them? And for
Mhm.
some people, how do you stop drowning in emotion? Because some people
Mm.
drown and some people run.
Mhm.
And once people can do both, once people are in flow with their emotion, intuition is so much easier.
Uh-huh.
A thousand times easier. But if I'm never like really in it, I might call you and go, Letta, I need a little bit of support. Like I can't see through the muck. I can't see through the muck. Help me to move this muck so that I can see clearly and be guided in the
Yeah.
best possible way.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the
Mhm.
things you and I do for each other a lot
Definitely. Definitely. Yeah. I appreciate that about our friendship.
too.
Yeah.
Is there anything you want to say about intuition? Like you feel like you have a love affair with intuition.
I do. It's it's just my jam, I love it. And I find it fascinating. And I just, it's just, I love it. Like some people like, people have their hobbies or their things that they like. One of my things,
I love it. What a great hobby to have.
one of my things and that I like is that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, is there
Yeah.
anything more you want to say about intuition?
No, I don't think so. Let me just check. I feel full. Like this is good. My belly's full of intuition. I just feel
I love
not
it.
totally stuffed.
Yes.
But I feel like I really I really I feel good about the conversation, our exploration together. And
Awesome.
this yeah, this feels like enough for now for
Okay.
me.
Yeah.
I don't have anything else that I really want to
Nice.
say about it.
Awesome.
Mhm.
Awesome. Well, thanks for exploring with me today.
Yeah, thank you for exploring with
My
me.
pleasure. My pleasure.
Yeah.